And welcome everybody to the Game Changer Sports Network and our brand new live shows. On Monday, we had baseball with Gavin and Nick, and they killed it. Probably the best show of the week so far. On Tuesday, we had football with myself, my power outage, Nick Eubanks from Talk Interference Sports, and Gavin from Circus Monkey Sports. Yesterday, we kept on our tradition of Wednesday wrestling talk with myself and Nick Lombardi, the master himself. And tonight we have a double header for you. We have hockey with Tim and Shane. And then after that, we will give you basketball with Elizabeth and Hunter. But first, we have playoff hockey, and we have two guys, one Canadian, one from the Boston area, and they are here to give you a great show. Here's Tim introducing the ogre himself. Tim, if he ever loads in, is he going to load in? It looks like he froze. We'll go to Shane. Just to save this, we'll go to Shane because Tim froze out. And Tim, are you there?
Yep. Yeah, I'm there.
There we go.
Beautiful. You're both there. I'm popping out. You guys have a great show.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. My name's Shane, guys. For everyone watching, I'm the Canadian. Don't make fun of my accent.
My name's Tim, and I'm the guy that has a Boston accent. So, Shane, how are you feeling? I feel like I'm reborn again with hockey playoffs back on.
God, man, it was like a party up here. Honest to God, like when we found out not only that when NHL came back, but like the first day happened on August 1st. Everyone was just like, I live in an apartment building, and like we went into the clubhouse, and everyone was just like, we got free pizza and beer. Our landlords gave us free pizza and beer, and we were just sitting there watching hockey all night, and it was just the best time ever. It's like the whole world stopped up here for the start of hockey again.
What a place. Mm-hmm. So we're going to dive into each conference of the qualifiers and then each conference of the round robins. What series in the West qualifiers sticks out to you the most going into this so far?
Tim, before the playoffs started, I released an article that you guys can check out on the Game Changer Sports Network website. It was my take on what'll happen in the playoffs and like kind of my predictions on who I thought would win. And one prediction that stood out to me the most so far is I predicted that the Edmonton Oilers and Chicago Blackhawks would have one heck of a series. It would just be back and forth. Oilers would win in 5. And I am an Oilers fan, for those of you that are reading my hat. But that series has just been madness. Like the first game, Chicago won 6-4, and then Edmonton won 6-3. And then last night, it was just back and forth. Unfortunate break for the Oilers. They scored it tipped off of a defenseman's stick in the last minute, and they lost. But I said at Oilers in 5, I'm sticking with my guns there, and that's the one that I think really sticks out. Another one for me is in the East, Rangers and Hurricanes. I thought for sure the Rangers would put up a way better fight than they did.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you in the West. I did not expect this much of a battle from Chicago. I
didn't either.
My gut feeling going into this series was maybe Taves and Kane can somehow carry the Blackhawks into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But after game 1, I knew that McDavid was going to bounce back strong. And then I couldn't believe when Chicago won last night. I mean, McDavid now has to go up 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
But they're in their home barn. I know there's no fans, but still, that's got to be somewhat an advantage.
Chicago's in the Oilers' dressing room right now.
Yeah.
I wonder how that feels. Like, they're in their home barn, and they have to sit in the visitors' dressing room. It's just, I think that's part of the reason. But McDavid was mad last night when they lost, and for good reason. Like, he had one hell of a game last night. And they still...
Nights. Like, you just put point after point after point up, and yet you can't get into the...
It's frustrating, but the Oilers' problem is they need secondary scoring. They can't expect they're not going to win this series if McDavid and Draisaitl don't get their they can't carry the team, right? They have to have secondary scoring. You look at the Blackhawks; their last 2 goals were scored by Matthew Highmore, and I can't remember who the other one was. Connor Murphy, I believe. Like, who are those guys? They're secondary scoring. They're like third, fourth liners for the Blackhawks. That's what the Oilers need. Zach Kassian, haven't noticed him at all this series. I haven't noticed people like Athanasiou. He's been nowhere to be found this whole series. These are the guys that need to step up if the Oilers are going to come back and win the next 2 games against the Blackhawks.
Even in goal, just Koskinen is an improvement, but still he's
exactly
to hit the .900 in save percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they can get some good goaltending in the next 2 games, and then maybe get a goal or 2 from players that score for Edmonton, then I see that the Oilers winning this series. But if it comes down to McDavid and Draisaitl scoring goals, it's going to be hard for them to win back-to-back.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Tyler Ennis going down last night. Not a big look for the Oilers. Not a good look for them either. He left the bubble, went to the hospital. He's not going to be back anytime soon. So this is the time more now than ever when the Oilers got to step up and get that secondary scoring.
The series that's kind of been interesting to me is the Nashville-Arizona one.
Yes.
Nashville, I feel like for a few years was like the top team in the league, if not in the top 3.
Yeah.
Over the past year or so, I feel like they've seriously degraded into maybe not even a playoff team. Like, Arizona is giving them a run for their money, and they need to win the next 2.
Martin Lee says, it really surprises me that the Rangers lost. I thought the offense was going to show up more. Me too. Honestly, like in my predictions, my predictions article before the playoffs started, I had the Rangers as my dark horse team in the East. I thought they were going to blow by the Hurricanes. I thought for sure they were going to put up a way better fight. Panarin never showed up that whole series.
No.
And Zibanejad was there, but Panarin, there was nowhere to be found.
I expected the Canes to win in maybe 5 games, so I expected a lot more from the Rangers, but they were dormant from the get-go of Game 1. The Canes just dominated that series.
And it's not like it was close games either. Like the Hurricanes were winning by like 4-1, 3-0.
Yeah.
Like, Rangers never showed up, playing simply.
Yeah, the Rangers had no answers for Carolina.
Yeah. Carolina is a scary team, man. Like they got Aho and Teravainen are like 2 of the best young players in the game. I don't care who you ask. Yeah. And they've got their defensemen rounding into form. They've got Rod Brind'Amour is an amazing coach.
Yeah, they got to be one of the most well-coached teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
You mentioned Aho. He leads the league right now in the playoffs with 8 points in 3 games.
Exactly. Yeah. The Hurricanes are. Yeah, Hurricanes are they're gonna go far. I have them reaching at least the Eastern Conference Finals now. Now that they took out the Rangers in such dramatic fashion, they're gonna blow by. I have them at least going to the Eastern Final.
I mean, they made it last year, and that only gave them more experience and another year under their belt, even in the coaching department.
Yeah. Was that just last year they made it to the final? Wow.
Yeah, no, because the Bruins swept them.
Yeah, right. Okay, wow, that was last year. Interesting. Another series that out in the West that is one heck of a series: Winnipeg and Calgary.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go with that one, blood was just boiling, fights everywhere. Mark Scheifele's injured now. That series is just nuts.
After Game 1, 2 of your main guys go down, but yet you want in it. You are trailing 2-1 still.
Yeah, exactly. And that game is shown everywhere on here because there's 2 Canadian teams. So all you ever see is Calgary, Winnipeg this, Calgary, Winnipeg that, or Toronto Maple Leafs. That's another story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game, I think the Flames are up 2-1 there, hey? And that sucks because as an Oilers fan, I hate to see that.
Could be going home tonight, I believe.
You think Winnipeg is going home tonight?
They could be.
Yeah. I have Winnipeg winning tonight. I think Calgary's taking it in 5. As much as that pains me to say, Winnipeg without Scheifele, I don't think they're going to come back and do it.
Yeah, I definitely think Calgary's going to take it. But if they show up tonight, I think Calgary can take it tonight.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's a boost for them to win their first series in Edmonton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Toronto and Columbus. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I kind of expected Columbus to show up a little bit because they swept Tampa last year. They gave Boston a run for their money.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're a tough team, and Toronto kind of near Tampa, so who knows?
Yeah. Heather here says, I think it'll be an interesting game. Toronto and Columbus. Well, the guy who hit the Toronto gets suspended. I think I missed that. I did not see. Did something happen? Like, did a Toronto player get hit from behind? Is that what happened?
Didn't see anything either.
Yeah, I think I missed that.
As a matter of fact, yes, that's exactly what happened. There was a hit from behind.
Hit from behind. Wow, I did not see that.
I'm surprised that being Toronto, it wasn't all over the news.
Yeah, geez, no kidding. I mean, depending on who the player was for Toronto, if it was someone like Matthews or Marner or Tavares, it'd be all over the news. But honestly, I can't really comment on that because I didn't see the hit. All I know is that if you look at like game 1 against Chicago and Edmonton, Drake Caggiula got suspended 1 game for a hit that I don't believe deserved a suspension.
No.
If anything, that would have been like a penalty. Maybe, I don't know what you'd even call for that. Interference, maybe?
He contacted his head with his shoulder. So
yeah.
Technically, you could call that head
hit
contact.
To the head. Yeah.
I think it would only be a minor penalty unless Ennis was injured. If he was injured on the play, I could see it being a 5-minute.
Yeah, and with that too, like I said, I haven't seen this hit from Columbus and Toronto, so I have no idea. But if Caggiula got suspended 1 game for that puny ass little hit on, was it Ennis? I don't know if it was Ennis or who it was, but yeah, if Caggiula got suspended 1 game for that, depending on the severity of this hit with Columbus, I think there should definitely be a suspension for sure. But again, I can't comment because I didn't see it, to be honest. But I guess we'll wait and see. I'm sure if he is suspended, it'll be all over the news because it's Toronto, like Tim said.
Real quick, just because our comments are coming in super delayed. Martin did just comment and said, I think she is talking about Jake Muzzin. I know he got a scary injury in the last game against the Blue Jackets.
Right. Okay. Jake Muzzin. Okay. I didn't see that hit. I heard that he's out, and he's out indefinitely because he left the bubble. I believe Muzzin is okay.
Ball.
Sorry, what was that?
He went head first, I believe, into the boards.
Now, was that a head? Was that a hit from behind?
Oh, I'm watching it right now. He was skating behind the net to get the puck like a defenseman would. Like, say the puck was directly behind the net, and I cross-checked him, which led him to go like sideways into the boards. Like,
oh, okay. I think that's just a hockey play from the sounds of it.
Yeah,
I don't think there's.
He definitely got hit from behind, but it wasn't like someone boarded him head first into the boards.
Right. See, I don't know. That's, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he did get suspended just because George Peros in the Department of Player Safety. I could say some very colorful words about that, but I'm not going to. But the Department of Player Safety has been all over the place. Like they've missed suspensions. They've gave people 4 or 5 game suspensions that didn't deserve a 4 or 5 game suspension. Suspensions that, like I said, should have been a 4 or 5 game suspension, got 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
So
I think it's raising eyebrows right now because he did get stretchered off of the ice.
Right. Yeah. And
but he didn't make head contact with the boards. He made contact with his shoulder into the boards.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any reason for a suspension there just from describing it. It sounds like just a hockey play. 2 players got tangled up. Unfortunately, Muzzin fell awkwardly into the boards. I think that's just a hockey play from what Tim described. I don't think there's any need for a suspension there.
I think if anything, it'd be a hit from behind because that's all he really.
Yeah, maybe like 5 for boarding.
He definitely messed his neck up because like the main thing they're holding was his neck.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I know, like it's hard to call. Like at the time, maybe a 5 minute or something, or double minor even for
Yeah.
boarding would have been good. Like, was there a penalty on the play? Do you know?
Hang on. I don't
I don't. Yeah, like if I don't
believe.
remember because I looked at the stats of that game and I don't remember seeing a boarding penalty or cross checking
Yeah.
or anything like that for Columbus.
It was a straight cross check to the back, and he went diagonal into the boards, like behind the
Oh,
net.
okay, so even like a double minor for cross checking or something.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
there was no penalty, then that's definitely the refs' fault. Like the refs have been. I saw an article on Facebook last night, and it said, "Are NHL refs calling more penalties now than they did in the past?" Um, Depending on the game, I'd say yes. Depending on the game, I'd also say no. There's some games that go by where it's like, oh my god, how do you not call that? And then there's some games where it's like, you seriously called that? Like last night watching the Oilers game, Athanasiou got a penalty for holding, and all he did was he reached over and just tapped the guy on the glove, and they called him for holding. And it's like, really, you're gonna call that? But depending on the game, like I don't know. Um, if they're calling penalties or not
Yeah.
because
I think it's dependent on the game. I would have to agree with you.
if the refs are in a good mood or not.
Like, you pull the whistle out of your pocket. In some games, it's can you put the whistle in your pocket? Like,
For sure. For sure.
I,
Yeah.
I think it depends also, and it probably will be different this year with no fans, but I think it depends on how the fans are vibing, like in the playoffs. If there's a series that a lot of fans and the games are getting a lot of views because it's a physical series, then
Uh-huh.
refs might tuck their whistles in their pockets a bit. But if it's a series where there's a lot of goals scored and people are viewing it because of that,
Yeah.
then going to be a lot of penalties, especially like slashing and with their stick because refs are trying to cut down on that anyways.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I did want to ask you, Tim, what do you think about the Florida Islanders series? Are you paying close attention to that?
I think the Islanders are going to win this series. They're up, what, 2-1?
I think the Islanders are up 2-1. I'm just going to check. I believe
They're up,
they are.
they're up 2-0, and then Florida beat them 3-2 yesterday to make.
Yeah. Yeah, see,
I don't see Florida having it in them to win 2 more games in a row. The Islanders, like Carolina, are a well-coached team in Trotz, and they play a strong defensive game.
but the Panthers have Joel Quenneville.
Yeah, exactly. It's two very well-coached teams, but I just think the Islanders play a better defensive game.
See, and like you look at me, like in my predictions article, I had Florida winning this solely because of Joel Quenneville, the fact that he's won 3 cups with Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you have Sergei Bobrovsky in the net. But the Islanders, like they're coming to play, man. Like I don't know. I had Florida taking this series, I believe, in 4. I think Islanders are going to win in 5. Florida's going to come back, win the next one tomorrow, and then Islanders are going to. What's this popping up here? Oh yeah, Islanders. Okay, 4-2. Panthers. Yeah, so the Islanders play tomorrow at 12 Eastern. And I do see the Panthers winning that one, and then I see the Islanders taking Game 5 because they said the stats are crazy. It's like in games where there's a best of 5 playoff series, the team that wins the first 2 games and goes up 2-0 in a best of 5 wins it's like 55 wins and 1 loss historically.
That's crazy.
It's just crazy. And then the team going up 1-0 in the series, the team that wins the first game wins 86% of the time.
It's definitely going to be a series, I think, that goes down to 5 games. But
I think it goes to 5-2.
But at this rate, I think the Islanders are going to take it. I don't know how they go beyond this, but who knows? I think the Islanders will take this series.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too right now, to be honest with you. Florida and Islanders. Jordan Eberle is playing out of his mind too. I'm still mad at Chiarelli for dealing him away from the Oilers for a bag of pucks. That's a story for another day, though.
It's crazy how like the Islanders have quietly acquired like a respectable roster that can get them decently far into the playoffs.
And it's like you look at the Islanders, they're like a severely overlooked team. Like, people look at the
Yeah.
Islanders and they're like, oh, it's just the Islanders. But people don't understand. Like, if you look at this team on paper, they actually have a pretty darn good team. You know,
Yeah.
like Anders Lee, the captain, he's really good this year. Jordan Eberle, Matt Barzal, like they've got a team to have the potential to go. Like, this is the team. This is the same team that swept Pittsburgh out of the playoffs last year.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, for all things holy, I'm hoping that Columbus beats Toronto. Another series that we're going to ask you, what other teams do we have to cover? Brandon Herrera says Minnesota Wild taking the whole thing. I disagree.
Yeah, I after today's game, I strongly disagree.
I disagree. Vancouver shut them out 3-0. Vancouver's up 3-0 in that series. I do not see Minnesota getting by Vancouver. I'm sorry.
Old.
What was that? Sorry?
I feel like Minnesota's too old.
Minnesota's old and the Canucks are too young. Like, the Canucks have Brock Besser, Pettersson. They have Quinn Hughes, who's playing out of his mind. He got 3 assists today.
And Markstrom and
Markstrom. Yeah, Markstrom. And, yeah, like, I don't see Minnesota getting by. I mean, they got to get younger in age. I don't see Minnesota getting by Vancouver. I'm sorry, Brandon. I don't see Minnesota. One team that I did want to talk about, though, that I believe is going to win the entire thing, Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, yeah. You could definitely put their name right there in the Stanley Cup Finals, I think.
Yeah, they are. They've got a team. You look at their team on paper, and it's like, wow, how has this team not won cups in the past? They've got Jared Bednar, who I still firmly believe is one of the best coaches in the game. Nathan MacKinnon. They've got Nazem Kadri, Gabriel Landeskog. Like, they've got everything. They've got who's their goalie again? They don't have Varlamov.
They have Grubauer.
Grubauer. Is he the starter?
I believe he's the starter, but then they threw in a kid that's like a rookie right now, and he got a shutout against Dallas. They won 4-0.
Yeah, that's that
Pavel
Marcuse or something. Yeah.
They just threw him in against Dallas, another top 4 team in the conference, and 4-0.
Yeah, and Colorado's defense is just nuts, like insane. Like Colin Wilson, they've got Samuel Girard, they've got Tyson Joseph's. Sorry, who?
Cale Makar.
Yeah. How can you forget about him? And Tyson Jost is like another great player for the Avalanche. I have them winning the cup this year, Colorado Avalanche, and like I'm not gonna lie, they're like my second, third favorite team right now. Like, their team, and just the fact that Jared Bednar, like, my mom and dad played baseball with him growing up. He's from his hometown, is like 20 minutes from mine. So my mom and dad know Jared Bednar. And just the fact that he's a local boy from where I am and everything, I'm really rooting for the Avalanche if the Oilers don't get by the Blackhawks.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Who do you have?
And for a Stanley Cup, like, I don't know. I don't know if I can pick the Stanley Cup right now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many teams. Heather Young just actually raised a really good point. What is your thoughts on Montreal series? Absolutely insane.
Yeah. The series where there was the biggest Pittsburgh was the biggest favorite, I believe, in all the qualifying rounds.
I was just going to say, let's be real. No one had Montreal even standing a chance against Pittsburgh, myself included. I think I had Pittsburgh sweeping Montreal out.
And then they have to win 2 games in a row against
Montreal.
Taking it. I think Montreal's going to take it, and
so do I.
That might be as far as they get, but that's just great seeing them beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in the qualifying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Montreal wins, like, I'm not a Habs fan by any means, but one of the teams I hate with Calgary, just because my dad and my brother are a Penguins fan, and they kind of shoved down my throat like, "Hey, Crosby's won 3 cups." I would love nothing more than to see Pittsburgh be eliminated in the qualifiers, just so that I can rub it into my dad and brother that they lost to Montreal, who probably wouldn't even been a playoff team if the full season had went.
Exactly.
And just because, like, Pittsburgh's won enough, Crosby has made his point as one of the best players in the league. Like, Pittsburgh, they're getting old, they're getting up there, and they've won enough. It's time you let someone else kind of take a crack at the cup there. But yeah, Montreal, like Carey Price is playing out of his mind. Carey Price is the difference maker in this entire series, no matter what you say. And I said in my predictions article, the only reason I can see Montreal winning this series is if Carey Price plays out of his mind. And he's playing out of his mind, and Montreal's up in the series. So if you go back in my predictions article, I actually just reread it last night. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but a lot of stuff that I've said in there has happened. I mean, I was wrong, obviously, with the Hurricanes and Rangers series. But like I said, if Price plays out of his mind, Montreal's going to have a chance. That's happened. I said Chicago, Edmonton will go down to the wire. That's happening. So, I mean, like, it's crazy, man. Like, some of the stuff that's happening in the league and then how closely I predicted it. I just kind of made the article out of fun, right? But it's real. It's unreal, like, how close it's been. For sure.
So, like, out of the round robins, like, what sticks out to you the most?
The Colorado Avalanche are unreal. Sorry, I missed Martin's comment there. In the East, I got Boston and Pittsburgh. In the West, Colorado or St. Louis are my favorites this year to win the Cup. See,
I just don't see Pittsburgh.
I don't see Pittsburgh either.
I don't see him still being able to be a contender in the final.
And then Heather just said she thinks Boston Bruins will have a good series. Where has Boston been? That's another thing.
Where's that top line?
Yeah,
where's Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak?
Yeah, they haven't shown up. I think they're 0-2 in the round robin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have not shown up. And if Boston is going to have a chance, like this year, there's a lot of people saying, I've kind of heard both sides of the story where, like, if people are saying, like, if whoever wins the Cup this year is not really going to matter because the season got shortened, doesn't really count as a full Cup. But then there's other people saying, like, this year more than anything is harder than past years because you have to play against 23 other teams to go ahead and win the Cup. So I kind of see it both ways, however, if someone like, Montreal makes it to the Stanley Cup final, then it's like, yeah, I can kind of see how that's kind of unfair because Montreal, if the full 82-game season had played, they probably wouldn't have made the playoffs.
Definitely not. I don't think so.
I don't think they would have either. And then if someone like, even like someone like Chicago, they were kind of borderline out there because the Western Conference was tighter than anything I've ever seen in the past.
Yeah.
And you were getting teams like where the Oilers, I think, were 5th in the West, and then they had 83 points or something like that, and then the 11th place team had like 78. There was like a 5-point differential between 5th to 11th in the West. And just the way it was playing out, I don't think Chicago would have quite snuck in. But that's what kind of irritates me is the fact that Chicago or Montreal most likely would not have made the playoffs. But then they had 4.5 months for their players to rest. Everyone's healthy, and now they're playing like out of their mind right now. You got someone like Kane Taves, Kubalik for Chicago, who's got 5 points in Game 1. Like everyone's healthy now, and when you have healthy teams like that, anything can happen. So
you give the older guys 4 months, and that's a benefit.
Kyle, how far will the Yotes go? They'll make it past the qualifier. Don't see them getting by round 1. I have to wait and see who they play in the next round. If it's someone like Colorado or Dallas or St. Louis, not a chance.
I'd say their only bet would be Vegas. Like, give them a run for their money in the division.
Yeah, divisional matchup like that for sure. I don't see the Yotes getting by round 1, 2, but not with the way all these teams in the West are stacking up against each other. The Yotes have kind of declined towards the last half of the season there. I know that was 4.5 months ago, but I don't think the Yotes have what it takes to get by the first round. That's personally what I think. I don't think they have the goaltending. I don't think Darcy Kemper, I believe, or is that Minnesota?
No, it's Darcy Cooper.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I don't think he's good when he wants to be good, but he's so inconsistent, I find.
I think them getting to the first round against the top 4 team is an accomplishment in itself this year.
For sure.
Because they were a team that was fighting in the wild card 3rd seed in the Pacific. But like that Pacific division was also so tight that they could have slipped out of the playoffs because of the wild card, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing too is quite honestly, I don't see them getting by Nashville. Like I know they're up 2-1. Honestly, like the furthest I can picture Arizona going right now is
that
first round, the next round, just because they're up 2-1. But quite honestly, like there's just something about that Nashville team. I just don't think the Yotes are going to get by them. I do have Rick Toshit or Toshe or however you pronounce the last name. I have Rick Toshe out coaching John Hines.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But
John Hines got fired by the Devils, so you know.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't have much in the Devils either. So now another thing I wanted to ask you, Tim. The 7 teams that did not make it to the qualifier. I'm going to try to rattle them off here. The 3 California teams: Buffalo, Ottawa, New Jersey, and Detroit. Which one of those 7 teams do you think has the best shot of making the playoffs next year in a full 82-game season?
I would have to say, like, one of the teams with a lot of young talent. So, Ottawa has a lot of young talent with draft picks.
Yeah.
Detroit, possibly. I just don't see Buffalo making the playoffs.
Yeah, there's something about Buffalo. Like, Buffalo curse, man.
LA is just too old.
Yeah.
San Jose overpaid on their defense, and they're too old.
Yeah.
Anaheim, they're too old.
Way too old, yeah.
A lot of teams that didn't make the playoffs, they're just too old.
Yeah. And this hockey, the way the NHL is right now, it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're old, like if you're someone like LA who is like they got people like Drew Doughty, Jonathan Quick, who's getting up there in age. Yeah, Kopitar, everyone, like, you know, you need to have younger players in order to survive in this league because you got players like Dylan Larkin or Connor McDavid or Matt Barzal who are just speedy and they'll blow right by you.
The worst is now in the NHL at 28 years old and older.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Upper 20s, you're old.
Yeah, 28, 29-year-old. Yeah, exactly. I think the age that you're considered to be in your prime has gone down too. I think a couple of years back, it would have been like 27, 28. You're considered to be in your prime.
Yeah.
Like people like Sidney Crosby, too old.
Yeah.
Ovechkin, too old. McDavid, Draisaitl, or Pasternak, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, they're all in their prime right now.
Yeah. For what, 4 or 5 years?
And like Draisaitl's my age. Draisaitl is going to be 25 this year. Give it 2-3 years, he'll be too old.
Yeah.
You know, that's plain and simply how I look at it.
The way it's going right now is you have to win when you have it. And so many teams right now have talented teams that can win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like it's like I said, I got Colorado making everyone have a good run for their money. But like I said, like St. Louis has a good chance of repeating. Boston, if their top line picks up, they got a good chance. Vegas always has a good chance. Dallas is up there. Yeah, like there's just so many teams. Chicago, the way they're playing, if they sneak by the Oilers, I have them going far. I know they're kind of an older team, but you got people like Kirby Dach, Dominic Kubalik, Olli Mata on defense. Like they're like, Taves and Kane are getting up there in age, and Duncan Keith. But you have these young guys on Chicago who are studs, and they're carrying Chicago. You know?
And I think another main aspect people can take lightly is you need a solid goaltender game in and game out.
Yeah, exactly.
At least a goaltender in tandem. So if a goalie goes down or if he hits a slump, you can fill that slot in with a backup, and they can come and fill the ropes. Because so many teams are talented on offense and on defense, but then they have absolutely no game when it comes to goaltending, and you go down fast.
Perfect example. Who do the goalies have between the pipes if Freddie Anderson gets injured?
No,
Who do the Leafs have?
I don't think anybody.
No one. If Freddie Anderson goes down, the Leafs are screwed.
Yeah.
I think they have Michael Hutchinson unless they trade him. I can't remember. But they've got that one rookie goaltender from Europe who's played like that Casimir Kaskasuo or whatever his name is. Oh, so I missed Heather's comment there. How far do you see New York Islanders go in the series, and who would they face if they win over Florida? Tim, you're up, man.
I see the Islanders taking the series, but who knows who they'll face if they win?
Yeah, because they reseed, right?
Yeah, after the top 4 play the round robin.
Yeah, because I think the Islanders are 7th and Florida's the 10th seed right now, right?
Yeah, so they would play what, the 3rd seed?
Yeah, 7th plays 2nd. So they play the 2nd seeded team in the East, which it won't be Boston.
No.
I'm thinking Philadelphia, yeah.
That'd be a tough series for the Islanders. I think Philly's gonna be a team that you got
surprises.
And they've Boston and the Capitals in the round robin. They've definitely made a point in their first 2 games.
What is Philly's record? Are they 2-0?
Yeah, they beat Boston 4-1, and then they just beat Washington 3-1.
Yeah, right. Okay, and Washington is 0-1-1.
Yeah,
so who's the other team in the East in the round robin?
Tampa Bay. They're I believe they're 2-0.
2-0. So Islanders, if they get by Arizona, would play the loser of Tampa Bay and Philly. And no matter who the Islanders play, whether it's Tampa Bay or Philly, they're not going to get by them.
No. Philly's too tough, I feel like, and solid of a team right now. And Tampa Bay, I feel like, will skate circles around them.
Yeah, like with Stamkos, Kucherov, and Vasilevsky, who is like Vezina candidate for the past 2-3 years now.
Yeah. I think learned a lot of lessons after getting swept last year in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and people are saying Tampa Bay's not going to go far. They got swept by Columbus last year. That was last year. You can bet John Cooper was sour after they got swept by Columbus, and rightfully so. Like, you had a 62-win season, arguably the best season any NHL teams had in the modern era, and then you go and you get swept to a team like Columbus. John Cooper is going to make 100% sure that does not happen again. And that left a bitter taste in everyone in the Lightning's mouth. Stamkos isn't going to want to let that happen.
No.
Kucherov won't let that happen. Vasilevsky's been standing on his head. I just don't see Tampa Bay's another one that's going to go far, I believe.
Stamkos is ready. He made it to the conference finals in 2011. He made it to the finals in 2015. And then he has the best season in NHL history last year.
Yeah.
And they swept in the first round. He's ready to make a run for it. And Tampa Bay's too talented right now.
Yeah,
if they
100%.
don't make a run for it when they have this good of a team, that has to be, in NHL history, one of the biggest busts.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you for sure. Another thing, too, that I believe has to win a cup now before it's too late. You look at a team like the New York Rangers. I think we lost Tim. I'll just keep it. Oh, there's Tim. Okay, so you look at a team like the New York Rangers. How can you not feel bad for a guy like Henrik Lundqvist?
That's horrible.
Horrible. 36, 37 years old. He does not have many years left on him at all. And one of the best goaltenders to play the game, and he has not won a cup.
Hall of Famer for sure. Generational talent coming from Sweden. He's been on and the worst part is he did have a chance to win the cup.
Yeah, for sure. He was in the finals. They were in the finals against LA in 2012, right?
Yeah.
That was his chance too. But the Rangers, I don't think the Rangers are too far behind, honestly.
Give it a year, I think it's very young right now and experience.
And quite honestly, like Panarin and Zibanejad were on fire before the season paused. And
Yeah.
I think a reason why the Rangers didn't perform as well as what we expected them to do was I think honestly the 4.5 months without playing kind of got to them.
Yeah.
Because like Panarin was nowhere to be found that entire series.
No.
And like I think if you play a full 82 game season or even like a shortened season like next year, like they're talking about, with no stoppages, no pauses, nothing, the Rangers could stand a chance for sure.
Oh yeah, I could absolutely see that happening. I think another team and my home team, the Boston Bruins, their time is running up soon because they have a lot of top guys and their captain. None of them are young. And this coming year, they have a lot of decisions to make cap wise.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Tim, I'm actually just going to switch devices here. My iPad is dying. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Tim's having some issues apparently.
All right. Yeah, my iPad was at like 1%, so I just switched over to my phone.
No worries at all. We got you backstage. Don't worry. Oh yeah, I'm on this camera right now. So while we wait for Tim, I'll jump in here and we'll move over to this question that's been all over people tonight. We've had 3 different comments about this, so let's hear it. What do you think about the Seattle Kraken team and its name?
Oh my God, how did we not cover this? I totally forgot about that. Seattle Kraken. Hate the name. I understand where they got their name from. Hate the name. I think they could have did a lot better. Kraken, just to me, when I hear Kraken, I think of like Kraken rum.
Well, so it's my understanding that Kraken rum is going to be one of the main sponsors as well.
Yeah,
which is a genius marketing.
Which is cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I think they could. I love the logo. I love the colors. I just think like I was totally like all for like Seattle Sockeyes or Seattle Seattle Sockeyes, or just maybe not the Sockeyes, but something that's not Kraken. Like Totems was up there on the board for a while. I would have been okay with Totems. Quite honestly, once I see them play and I hear Seattle Kraken being announced like on TVs and like on the news and everything, the name will probably grow on me just because it's part of the. I hated the Golden Knights when Vegas came out and they announced Vegas Golden Knights. I was like, what in the world kind of name is that? That's awful. Now it's grown on me. Seattle Kraken is, I believe, this will do the same thing. I hate it now, but give it a time, have them come into the league, have them play a few seasons, and then they'll just be like second nature to me.
Tim, what are your thoughts on the Seattle Kraken team name?
It makes me think of a rum that I really like to take shots of, but I love all the memes. It's gonna be the crack house. The fans are gonna be the crackheads.
Crackheads, yeah. We won't even say what the cheerleaders are gonna be.
I think Seattle's doing everything right. I've never been a huge fan of Vegas as an expansion team to begin with, and much more accepting, I guess you could say, to what Seattle's doing. And I think they'll probably be more successful than Vegas was with the market they have and learning from Vegas in that expansion draft what they can take into their own expansion draft. Like, you could be looking at a very dangerous Seattle team right from game one.
Another thing I want to talk about with Seattle, Amazon purchased the rights to the arena there, and they renamed it Climate Pledge Arena. Huh. I hate that name.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't there a name to the arena to begin with?
Yeah, it was Seattle Key Arena, which, okay, that's a totally fine, like, that arena name's not bad. Why would you change it? And then you change it to Climate Pledge Arena. I understand why they did it. Like Amazon's making it like the greenest, quote unquote, greenest arena in the league. But when I hear Climate Pledge, I think of like pledge, like that cleaning stuff. It's just I can't get into the name for that arena either.
No, that does not sit well with me.
Yeah. Other than that, though, like I'm excited for Seattle to come into the league. It's about time. Like it'll be nice having even 32 teams and an even 8 teams in each division.
Yeah, I think that's big for the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
At one point when we had 30 teams before Vegas came in, that was good. I guess.
And then you had 31, and it kind of threw everything out of whack.
Exactly, because now one has 7 teams when the other 3 have 8. That makes no sense. So now
for sure.
Have an even standings across the board.
Yeah. And Arizona, I believe, will shift from the Pacific to the Central, right?
Yep. Yeah, Arizona.
That's the team?
Central, and then Seattle will obviously be in the Pacific.
Right. And that makes sense. You can't put a team like Seattle in the Central because they're literally right on the Pacific coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that totally makes sense. I was honestly expecting a team like Winnipeg. Oh, no, Winnipeg is in the Central. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Carry on. So another
game right now between St. Louis and Vegas. St. Louis is up 4. Actually, Vegas just tied it 4-4 with 17 minutes left in the third.
I was watching it honestly before I came in here to do this show. It's 4-4 now. Wow, that's crazy. Honestly, I want St. Louis to win. I'm a huge St. Louis guy. I like my team is the Oilers, but St. Louis, Colorado, I've always had like a sweet spot for them, for each of those teams. I liked Colorado before they got Jared Bednar as a coach, just because I like Colorado when they had like back in the days of like Milan Hajduk and Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic.
Yeah.
I really liked Colorado when they had those 3 players, and I honestly like Edmonton, Colorado were like my co-favorite teams. I supported each of those teams just the same, but now I'm a lot more Oilers than I am Avalanche. But I've always kind of liked the Avalanche, and then the Blues I've always liked just because my dad kind of cheers for the Penguins, and he's also a kind of a Blues fan, and I like the team that the Blues have put together and everything. So honestly, I'm hoping for the Blues. Vegas still doesn't sit well with me. They're in the Pacific Division. They're a division rival. They still don't sit well with me. What are your thoughts on it?
The crazy thing is Vegas is out shooting St. Louis 30-13 right now.
Crazy. Fleury let in 4 goals on 13 shots. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw a comment pop up here. Heather said Toronto's up 1-0. Yeah, Toronto's up 1-0. I don't want to talk about Toronto.
I
quite honestly.
Though, because a guy like Jake Muzzin goes down in the game before, you're already facing criticism that the series is tied 1-1 against a team on paper that you should sweep. Like when you look at talent that the Toronto Maple Leafs have, like they should not be battling with Columbus, and you have one of your leading defensemen get injured in the game before. I expect Toronto to be on their toes this game in their home building again.
And then I was on the on my prediction article. I said Toronto would beat Columbus. It took everything in me to write that one because I was like, I really want to put Columbus just because it's Toronto. But I had to be realistic, and I was like, okay, on paper, Toronto has Matthews, Nylander, Riley, Tavares, Marner. How can a team like that not beat Columbus?
If they don't beat Columbus, I don't know what Toronto can do next.
Well, I mean, and they were all about fire Babcock.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you fire Babcock.
Really, even the right move. Babcock, yeah, he has his old school ways, and he can be a little thick-headed and get into people's heads. And yeah, he can cross the line a time or two. but he's proven that he can be successful.
Exactly. He won cups in Detroit. He led Team Canada to Olympic gold medals, I think, for 2 years. I mean, I have no problems with Mike Babcock. I think it's just sensitive Leafs fans, to be honest. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is Kyle Dubas. I don't think personally that he has what it takes to be a general manager in the National Hockey League.
No, I think he's just there because he's in Toronto, so he's always in the media.
And he's 32 years old. He literally, like most general managers you see, have had experience in the NHL. They're former players. They're former executives of other teams. They've been in the league for a long time. Kyle Dubas is some kid that came from top-notch Canadian business school who studied sports management, and he's nothing to do with the NHL, and he just comes in as a general manager. He was with the Marlies, started with the Marlies, the AHL team, and then Marlies won the Calder Cup, and he got promoted to Maple Leafs. Fine. But Dubas is handing out all these ludicrous contracts. You're giving Tavares $11 million a year. You're giving Matthews $11 million a year. You're giving Marner's $11 million a year. And then you're giving Nylander like $8 million. So that's $40 million tied up in 4 players.
Yeah,
and as long as those contracts are there, Toronto is not going to win a cup.
No.
Yes, that's just.
There's no way you can afford to pay the rest of the roster.
Well, yeah, and you look at someone. Toronto does not have a backup goalie. You're not going to have money to spend on a decent backup goalie because you have all this cap tied up in all these players, and then you have Morgan Rielly, Jake Muzzin, Travis Dermott is kind of iffy. Other than that, you don't really have any defensemen.
No. Toronto's main skill is offense.
Exactly.
If you can shut down their top 6 guys, you want to say, that are very deadly, they got
nothing.
Year after year, you see them not make a cup because that's an easy task for any team that's going to be a playoff contender is just to shut 6 players down.
And Toronto's strategy, like the only possible way they're going to go have any chance of going far in the playoffs is I strongly believe they're going to have to score like 4, 5, 6 goals every game.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen in the NHL.
No, especially when the further you get in the playoffs, you're going to have these teams that their defense is just solid. And their defense knows how to shut down people like Matthews, Tavares, Marner. And when you shut down those top 6 and you can't have them get them like people like Matthews, Marner, Tavares can't get through the defense, you got nothing.
No.
And then you're gonna lose the battle on defense too, because this team that they're playing is built like their defense is just solid, and Toronto does not have defense, plain and simply.
Yeah.
So I don't see Toronto. Like you said, their offense is built to win. They got one of the best offenses in the game. I'll give them that. When it comes to goaltending and defense, they are strongly lacking. And I blame Kyle Dubas for that, handing out all these huge contracts to these players, because Dubas made one mistake. He made a mistake and said, as long as I am GM of this franchise, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander aren't going anywhere. Huge mistake, because now when you have people like Marner, Matthews, Nylander expiring contracts, you made that commitment to your fans. You have to fall through with that, because Lord knows with how crazy the Leafs fan base is, if you trade one of those 3 players, they're going to shove it down your throat, and they will drive Kyle Dubas out of town.
And let's face it, it's been since 1967 that the Leafs have won a cup. So that phase is going nuts. And they're in the we want to win now phase. So as a young GM that has no experience in the NHL besides for his AHL years, signing 4 guys to massive contracts, that's how you screw over an NHL franchise very easily.
Perfect example of that. I can think of one GM. Perfect example. He's now unemployed. You know who I'm thinking about?
I think I do.
Peter Chiarelli?
Yeah.
Milan Lucic. He was GM of Chiarelli was GM of the Oilers. He signed Lucic to this crazy 7-year, $6 million per deal. Lucic is slow. He is not a $6 million player. Maybe for 1 year. He had one good year in Edmonton. Now he's putting up maybe 15 points a year. On what planet do you pay a player who scores 15 points in a season $6 million a year?
In all reality, once he got out of Boston, I don't think he's been even an effective player besides for a big hit here or there or a power goal every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. And he's slow. He's not fast. And this is a fast game. The game is evolving into be a young guy sport, and you have to be fast in order to have any effect on the team. Lucic is not that.
No.
The only thing Lucic has going for him, he's a big body. He can get in front of the net. He can screen the goaltender on power plays, and he's there to screen the goalie and maybe stuff home a rebound. I've watched some of his goals that he scored this season with Calgary, and 90% of them he's shoved home a rebound because he was screening the goalie up front. That's the only thing Lucic is good for, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's all garbage goals. And
for sure.
If he can body you. But
for sure.
Who knows how far that's going to get Calgary. I don't see Calgary even making it past the next round, in all honesty.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd have to see who they play. But Calgary being the 8th seed, they're going to play the top team, which is probably going to be Colorado.
Yeah.
And we all know how that, point A last year, Colorado took that series in 5 against Calgary. And Colorado, you look at the team, Colorado is so much more well-built than Calgary is right now.
Oh, yeah. And you look at the Colorado team compared to last year, they're just another year under their belt.
For sure.
I think Colorado is at least 2 to 3 years out from their prime.
Yeah, 100%.
In the phase of gaining experience and making a name for themselves, but yet they're the best, if not the second best team in the Western Conference.
For sure. I firmly believe they're the best in the West, for sure. It's the only team, like I said, that is a little bit more comparable to the Avalanche is St. Louis. One of those two teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Dallas is there yet. I don't think Vegas is there yet. Colorado and St. Louis are my. So now we're going to end the show here, Tim. I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you have? Top team in the East, top team in the West. Which two teams do you think make the Stanley Cup final?
As of right now?
Yeah, as of right now. And then who do you have winning?
From the games I've seen, I got to agree with you with Colorado because they've absolutely dominated, even with a backup.
Mm-hmm.
In the East, right now, Philly's making a name for themselves. And I think
you're going to go Philly?
Yeah, I think if Philly can continue what they're doing, unless a team like Boston or Washington turns things around, they're not going to make it at all.
For sure. And then I'm going to end by saying Colorado in the West, Tampa in the East, Colorado winning the Cup. That's my prediction.
All right, boys. You know why I'm here, right?
I know.
It is the end of the very first Inside the Ice. I got to remember which camera I'm looking at here. I got 2 cameras going. This is a wild experience from the backstage point of view, guys. We are down to the last minute of Inside the Ice with Tim and Shane. They did great tonight. I think they need to work on their camera angles. Comment if you agree. So don't forget, after we go off the air Inside the Ice, we have Behind the Basket with Elizabeth and Hunter starting. We are so excited to give you our final show on our first brand new week here on the Game Changer Sports Network. Shane, Tim, any final thoughts?
Go Oilers.
Hockey. Go Bruins.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes with Behind the Basket. Have a good night, guys.